What's something you're silently going through right now that would shock people if they knew? Our adult son is deeply mentally ill and fixated to substances and has estranged himself from us. After years and years of therapy, rehabs, more rehabs, therapeutic rehabs, outdoor horse-based rehabs, family therapy, double therapy, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to help him, we slowly had to accept that we can't help him. We have to be able to live our lives without spending days weeping in fetal positions for hours. So we move forward and just live our lives. We don't tell anyone because we can't do that without breaking down. There are whole days where we can't function, but we just tell people we're tired. Story 2. I'm burned out taking care of my mom. I moved in with her 3 years ago, thinking I would be caring for her a year tops. I mentioned it to her doctor in her last appointment. Not that I'm burned out, I was just commenting on how well she's doing, and I'm surprised. The doctor went on about how good I am for her physical and mental health, which made me feel horrible, because it just adds to my guilt that I don't want to do this anymore. The thing is, the doctor is right. I try really hard to make sure she's comfortable. She's taking her meds, I'm cooking her healthy foods, etc. She wants nothing. And sometimes I feel like we're two young college roommates when we have long talks where we watch a silly movie and eat popcorn and drink Cokes, which she's not supposed to do, so we limit it. It's a lot of fun, but I feel stuck. I feel like I'm in limbo. I'm ready to get back to my own life. At the same time, there's no way I'm putting her in a home. She's 90, but she's as healthy as a 90-year-old can possibly be. And I do have family who are very good about helping out and giving me a break when they can. I should be more grateful that I'm in the best possible version of a situation like this. I still go to bed exhausted every night. Story 3. I just literally dug my elderly parents and sister out of the home I grew up in, which, even 30 years ago, was unlivable due to their refusal to clean, repair, or throw anything away. Per officials here, it's the most squalid residence they've ever seen, ever. After refusing my help for decades, I've come here, hundreds of miles away from my children to dig them out of several feet of rotting garbage. Walking on the floor is actually walking 3 feet above the floor because it's a yard of wet, squishy filth, emitting hundreds of scurrying insects with each step. Even with a respirator and bodysuit, my eyes watered. They were putting bags of ice in storage tubs and using it as a makeshift cooler for ham and cheese and then just letting all of it molder, creating a habitat for nightmare bugs. The ceiling is collapsing, and they were just crapping in blankets and leaving them. The fridge I bought them only lasted 2 months before cockroaches fried the circuits. They could only find one shoe between the 3 of them, and I carried them out on my back, except for my sister, who weighs 395 pounds. I know this because she was admitted to the hospital with cellulitis, infected roach bites, and messed up electrolytes because she only eats fast food, and prodigious amounts of it. My dad has Alzheimer's and thinks everything is fine. My mother is a retired nurse who only ever cared about her image and preferred to let us live in filth if it meant no one found out. I grew up in this and fled with my brother, who passed away several years ago. It was my only chance for a normal life, and I had to leave or pass away. Now, after years of them angrily refusing my help, I had to leave work, scrape up money from friends to drive and stay here and spend 2 weeks finding them an apartment as they throw garbage all over the hotel room I rented for them. I've been cleaning their hotel room so I can stand to enter it, and today, when they learned a social worker was coming, they miraculously cleaned it themselves. When I tried to get them low-income housing, I got their bank statements. Thousands of dollars in the bank, much more than me. And Mother says that I should thank her for making me a survivor. I have to drive back to work soon. My coworkers think I'm on vacation and watching ball games. No one understands, and I've stopped trying to explain. Story 4. I hate my job so much, it makes me want to crawl into a hole and never come out. I have a medical condition that is making it almost impossible for me to do the job assigned to me. There's nowhere else in the company I can go after working here nearly 20 years and taking a pay cut out of desperation to change jobs here 2 years ago. It would be nearly impossible for me to be hired to do anything else in my age, 50s. I've applied for literally hundreds of jobs in the past few years and never got even one interview. Zero interest. AI is taking over my job. My skills aren't valued anymore. I'm SOL. I've never felt such like a failure or so vulnerable in my entire life. I wish with all my heart I had chosen a different profession. Story 5. I was fully planning to end it all on Monday. It was a sudden onset thing. I haven't been actively depressed in years. I've just had a little recent ideation, and that's about it. I was sitting in my bed after a really bad mental breakdown, and suddenly my mind was clear. I was emotionally numb to everything. All I could think of was how I assumed hanging wouldn't be a bad way to go out, and I started to think of what I could use to do it. I settled on a bell to my closet and how to hang it. I knew I was in a bad headspace and that the last thing I needed at that moment was to be alone because I knew I'd actually do it. So I called up a buddy of mine and explained that I just needed someone to talk to. Played peek for a little bit until it passed. It feels so weird to be here, alive, knowing I survived that night. That I could have been gone right now. That all the people I saw and ran into today would have never seen me. Such a surreal experience. Something feels different now. I don't know what, though. Story 6. Other people think my parents are taking care of me after becoming disabled due to a brain injury. The truth is that I've almost passed away from neglect multiple times because I'm unable to take care of myself. I rot in my room. They don't bother checking up on me. I begged for days to go to the hospital and had to call outsiders to bring me because my parents have refused, and I almost passed away because of their refusal. They drag me around and I'm feeling unwell, dry heaving and begging to go home. They call me ungrateful for daring to be sick. Truthfully, I'd be gone if I didn't have the shelter and food they provide. I try to get government support if I could, but my circumstances don't allow it, and I'm not fully cognitively able to do that either. I live like I'm gone, and I wish my illness would take me already to escape this hell. The only reason I don't log out of life of my own accord is because it would forever hurt my sister and grandparents. They're the only reason I choose to live. Story 7. I'm 24 and going into palliative care. I'm severely chronically ill, but you couldn't tell by looking at me. The kidneys are shutting down slowly and they don't know why. My immune system is barely functioning and they don't know why. The nervous system is being attacked, causing non-epileptic seizures that send me to the hospital. I have severe dislocations daily. I have extreme pain they think is complex regional pain syndrome, because it's the most painful chronic disease they know of. I faint multiple times a day. I can barely walk. I have high fatigue where even going to the store in my wheelchair leaves me in bed for days. I have constant fevers that cause headaches. A cyst on my brain will grow and suddenly explode, causing a horrific headache and loss of vision in my left eye, needing surgery to repair my vision and more. I don't really tell people because I'm just told, I hope you get better, or other things like that, which I understand is nice, but I can't get better. It's all incurable, will only get worse, and I don't want to be reminded of that. I also don't want to worry people who don't directly witness this. The only reason the few people who do know is because they see it, and I have to explain. Even then, I downplay it and make jokes about it. Story 8. The divorce after an 18-year marriage has ripped me apart. I'm also taking care of my elderly, dementia-ridden, borderline hoarder of a dad. I have 3 teenagers who are struggling through this whole situation, and the money runs out very soon. I will be down to ramen for all meals for me and my dad, unless I can get a rather large loan and pay off or cover things for a while. I'm dodging creditors for a few things, including an unpaid tax bill, until that comes through. I hope it comes through. I try to keep up a happy face, laugh and smile, but every day is so damn hard. The things in the future I see coming are telling my kids I have no money for them to go to college, or my dad dying, or crying in bed again. I know it will be better someday, but I have trouble seeing it right now. Story 9. I'm a caregiver to a child with special needs and a terminal illness. They've been communicating to us, their family and me, that they feel the end is near. They planned their funeral, have written letters to loved ones, and we're working on a book to be published after their passing. Spent years with this child, watching them beat the odds constantly, hit milestones thought impossible, and prove how capable they are of bringing value to the world. It taught me how to be thankful for the simple things in life, how to forgive others, and how to discover my own personal faith. Don't know what I'm gonna do, when and if I lose them. We met a couple of months after my brother passed away suddenly, and I'm trying so hard not to be angry at the world for taking away the person who helped me find myself after losing so much to grief. I can't talk about this with anyone, really, because it's just so complex. Now I also value their privacy and dignity. I talked to my mom about it. Oh, and I also left my fiancé, called off a wedding, moved back to my mom's house. My ex had custody of the cat, and I'm trying to go back to school. Hooray for 25. Y'all weren't kidding. Story 10. There is a small part of me that hopes my sister-in-law codes. We are currently taking care of her perfect infant daughter, whom she exposed to 7 different substances. She acts like she's the perfect mother during their supervised visits, but the truth is, she never even asked about her daughter once. Turns out, she's been buying substances while we're left to clean up her mess. She's severely mentally ill and so far gone that even if she can clean up her act, there's no way she should have a kid. However, she keeps doing the bare minimum to drag her court cases for as long as possible. She calls me the bad guy because I advocate for a kid, but she can't even show up to her visits high. Her mom is the biggest enabler I've ever met, but my wife is finally coming to the truth that her sister only wants to take advantage of her. She's on a path that is going to bring everyone down with her. So my worst fear is that she really can trick the judge like she thinks she can and get her kid back while still actively using. I can't run away from this situation, and I love my niece more than I ever thought I could love another human being. I just wish it was all over. I know, it's terrible, but I'm just burnt out. Story 11. I had a miscarriage in April and got hospitalized for ending it all ideation in May. At least that's what I told my fiancé, that it was just ideation. The truth is, I got hospitalized because I had 2 active plans, and the hospital put me on an emergency order of detention, EOD. I didn't want to keep living without my baby. Afterwards, we couldn't afford my therapies and medications. I guess everyone thought I was fine since I wasn't going to therapy. My fiancé broke up with me on August 29th for various reasons, various faults of my own and his, and now, more than ever, I feel at the edge of the cliff. He said he would never leave. Then he said, never mind. He doesn't know I've been hurting myself every day since the miscarriage. No one does. No one knows I'm not okay. I've been smiling in public since the miscarriage and sobbing in silence, but I've got to keep going forward. Story 12. I have a headache condition called status migrainosus, which causes really long migraines. My longest migraine so far has been 2 months. The only thing keeping these long migraines at bay is Botox shots. I also have insulin resistance due to PCOS, which caused me to become obese. I literally cannot lose weight without the help of a GLP-1, which I had to pay for out of pocket. It is also very easy for me to gain weight. I'm getting bariatric surgery in either December or January of 2026, so hopefully that will help my PCOS and insulin resistance. Story 13. This is something so insignificant compared to what everyone is going on, and that makes me feel selfish. But there are things that make me feel so guilty and selfish that I genuinely want to end it all because I hate myself so much for them. I just obsess over thinking about how much of an awful, disgusting person I am and literally can't get over them. I'm probably going to read this and not even think it's a big deal, but I'm absolutely bawling my eyes out to where I feel sick right now. The guilt I feel didn't hit me until about 2 or 3 years ago. Some of it is just stupid, insignificant things that happened years ago, but I don't know why. I just cannot get these things out of my head. There have been days where I lie in bed all day and just cry over them and think about how much of a terrible person I am, that I don't even deserve to be alive. My amazing grandmother, who lived with us, passed away 9 years ago. I'm a hairstylist and I have a hair washing sink in my house. I would always be like, yeah, let's wash your hair later, but I'd always be too busy or not feel like it. She was so nice. She would always say, don't worry, my legs hurt too much to move anyway. But I know she must have just been saying that to make me not feel bad because she loved me so much. But then when I would take the time to do it, she would be so happy and would be like, thank you so much. This is such a treat. My head has been so itchy and I can't lift my arms to scratch it. I look back on that and I hate myself so much that I was so selfish that I wouldn't even take 10 minutes out of my day to help make her feel comfortable. I would only do it like twice a month or maybe even less when I could have done it every day. She was literally the most amazing, loving, incredible person I've ever met. I feel like I let her down and was such a piece of crap and she deserved so much better than what I gave her. I've tried to make myself feel better by washing my mom's hair a few times a week because she can't lift her arms anymore either. Arthritis and she refuses to see a doctor to get help. It does help 1%, but knowing that I will never be able to go back in time and do the simplest, quickest, easiest thing in the whole world that would have made her so much more comfortable is just crap. I hate myself. I know I need to go to therapy for this, but I haven't because there's nothing in the world that will ever be able to change it. I know this is so stupid, but I'm not joking, so please don't make fun of me because I cannot handle it. Story 14. Moving past a mental illness. I've never confessed this to anyone, but mental illness used to affect me constantly, from childhood up until my adulthood. I'm really learning how to live now. Sometimes I have many doubts, but I hope that I'm progressing to the point that I will become someone with average social skills. I didn't speak until just 4 or 5 years ago. I'm full of anxiety about almost everything, everywhere, and everyone. But I've already reached some goals, like knowing not how to be uneasy while standing in a crowd. I'm also happy that I no longer sit in dirty clothes and that I know how to keep myself clean. I'm proud of my progress. Story 15. And the happiest interpretation of going through. My wife and I found out she's pregnant a few weeks ago. We're beyond happy, but we feel like we can't tell anyone until we're farther along. We've never gone through this before and I don't know what we're doing, but so many of our friends and families have shared how difficult the pregnancy journeys were. So on one hand, I want to tell everybody, oops, I guess I just did. And on the other hand, I'm trying to hold this joy in check until we get a few months in and know this is really happening. I was with family tonight and staying quiet in the biggest news ever. They'll be so thrilled. It's consuming my mind during every work meeting. I'm reading books to get prepared and just learning how the hell I can best support my wife through this. Thanks for listening. My stomach is tied in knots again just writing these words. Story 16. My wife and I have taken on caring for a niece, along with our children. She's incredibly high need and has reactive attachment disorder, stemming from the damage her mom did while she had custody. She also has signs of personality traits in her brain function, as well as pretty severe ADHD and verbal processing issues, most likely from prenatal substances and alcohol use. The part that most don't know is the level of regret we have sometimes in taking her in. She's so much different than our kids, and the problems are so big. We're trying really hard to stay patient with her and leaning on our support system, but the lack of tangible growth, or even effort to change, is soul-crushing at times. There will be a good day or two, and then regression, usually stemming from a simple lack of effort. Story 17. I have flashbacks while I'm awake and sleeping. Therapy is helping, but no one wants to hear about it, so they just know I have PTSD. No one asks how I'm doing. No one likes to listen to anything related to toddler and child mistreatment. I also feel like a failure because I don't have the capacity to try and get my memoir published. I'm thinking of just putting up a chapter at a time on Substack. I haven't decided. 2 days ago was the anniversary of the worst day of my life. A lot of people know. Only my therapist checked in on me. I constantly feel like I don't matter and no one would give a crap if I packed up and moved somewhere else. It's a lonely life. Story 18. People give way too much credit for the fact that military members swear on oath to the Constitution. For the average service member, it's just a job. As long as the paychecks are coming and they have food on the table and a roof over their heads for their families, most will toe the line in face of questionable orders. It might sound nice and noble that someone would potentially be willing to put their military pay at risk, and maybe you will feel that way in the moment, but no amount of good feelings will matter when your car gets repossessed and you can't feed your family anymore, and the rent is due. Story 19. People see me doing well academically, but I actually constantly stress that I'm not doing enough and that I'm going to fail every single test, no matter how much I've studied. I have to take natural anxiety medicine before any type of test, and usually I take it multiple times a day anyway. Every time I revise, I'm constantly stressed and have to stop because I can feel a panic attack about to happen. I frequently study instead of doing anything I enjoy just to attempt to feel like I've done enough. I see anything below a B as a fail and expect myself to get A's every time, no matter what. I also recently had a family member pass away and one who is currently on end-of-life care, whom I was very, very close to throughout my entire life. It's destroying me mentally to see them the way they are, or even just thinking about it makes me cry. It hurts so much to see someone I saw at least once a week, if not more, since I was born, change so much and probably not make it to the end of the year. Not that I tell anyone anything, because all I do is try to say it but end up going silent like always, or only saying the basic stuff and not going into it deeply. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos like this. Story 20. I grew up in a cruel, alcoholic home where we were constantly left alone starting at 5 years old. I've had a constant struggle with an eating disorder for 25 years and I'm active in a 12-step group for food problems. I've been assayed twice and told no one because I was too ashamed. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 and told no one. I've been trying to end it all, on and off for years, and I've told no one. I'm stuck in a marriage with someone I don't love or probably ever did. I'm the person who is always smiling, talking, and super outgoing. I just am never real with people and do not ever share my reality. I do a lot of public speaking at work and frequently have to talk about my mental health and nutrition. I work in employee benefits. Despite all of this, I have an advanced degree. I'm pretty successful professionally, very solid financially, and have a lot of friends. Sometimes it feels like, damn, if they only knew. Story 21. I can't stop drinking. I'll go sober for months at a time, but inevitably I always relapse and binge on an ungodly amount of beer for a few weeks, only to stop again for a few months. And then the cycle continues, over and over and over. I've done rehab. I take medications for it. I go to therapy and I see a psychologist. I just can't shake it. But hey, maybe this time is the time. I'm currently on month 4, but I always fear that one day I will go full auto and revert to it all over again. Story 22. I'm not sure how I'm coping anymore. I feel like I'm at the brink of a psychotic breakdown. I felt like a danger to myself at times for the past couple of weeks, but I'm so good at hiding it and calming myself down long enough when needed. Can get myself somewhere where I can be alone to break down in tears, so maybe it just feels like it's not as bad as some others have it. I'm not sure anymore. I either can't sleep or sleep all day long during the weekends and at work. I still kind of function to the point they're about to give me a big promotion. I know some people notice something's off about me lately, but since I still crack a bunch of jokes and laugh, then it's no biggie. I'm unsure what to do anymore. A psychiatrist said I should go see a newer psychiatrist for how bad it's gone lately. He's going to get me the number of a colleague of his, but he hasn't texted it to me. I've already insisted twice this week with no reply, and he's never been like that with me. I also haven't told my parents he recommended that I go see one, because this just feels unreal at this point. Sometimes my thoughts don't even feel like they're my own anymore. They're so fast and incoherent, nothing follows a train of thought. I have no clue what I'm thinking at times, and I just get lost, like I just disconnect. I've been so depressed for about a year now, and it's gone so bad lately. I just feel like I'm slowly sinking underwater with nothing stopping me from going further below. Getting tattooed is the only time I feel actual joy, and it makes no sense. Like, maybe it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be if no one around me is saying or asking anything about it. My doctor doesn't even care, then what am I to even do, you know? I'm just so tired all the time. Story 23. I may look happy at work or at social events, but deep down I'm so sad and depressed. I want to be around people, but at the same time I don't. I feel like my life is spiraling. 8 months ago I lost my first dog, Chewy. He was 10, almost 11. I loved him so much. I was devastated. I've been grieving for him for months, and now I'm losing my wife, all within less than a year. I'm going through a separation, 1 month so far. My marriage, my life, everything feels like it's falling apart. Everything I've envisioned for my future with my wife is shattered. I don't know where my life is heading. I'm having a hard time thinking about the future without her. I'm just not ready to give up on our marriage. We've only been married for 4 years. We bought a beautiful big house together 4 years ago. Our first home together. All the memories, all the traveling we did together. Just so sad that just a few years ago I was having the best time of my life. It couldn't get better. That was the American dream. What hurts the most is that my closest friend, my best friend for the past 10 years, is now a stranger to me. And I'm all alone in this house with a ghost of her memory in every corner, every object in this house, every sidewalk in this neighborhood. Ugh. Story 24. I now am quietly struggling with how overwhelming life has become since having my 3-month-old. On the outside, it might look like I'm managing just fine, feeding, changing, and putting the baby to sleep on schedule. But inside, I feel constantly exhausted, anxious, and on edge. Every little cry makes my heart race, and I constantly worry if I'm doing the right thing for my baby. Nights are especially brutal, sleep is almost non-existent, and I sometimes feel guilty for needing even just a few minutes to myself. It's shocking how lonely it can feel, even when I'm surrounded by love and support. People see the happy moments, but they don't see the mental and emotional toll that comes with caring for such a tiny human. Story 25. I have a master's degree, but I'm stuck in a stagnant job under a boss that likes to play politics. I don't get benefits, no PTO or sick time. If I don't work, I don't get paid. When I get off work, I'm my dad's caretaker. I'm trying so hard to get out of the stagnant job, but the only interview I've managed to get is for a devil corp. I'm either over or underqualified for everything. I'm burned out beyond belief, but can't afford to take a vacation because of the lack of PTO. But I have to smile and nod and pretend it's fine because I can't show weakness around my boss or my dad. Let's just say I cried when I watched Encanto and Luisa sang Under Pressure. I've never related to a song more. Story 26. I was gaslit and emotionally and probably essayed by my parents as a child, and the cruelty didn't lessen but became more subtle as I grew up. I was autistic, and they used that to explain every uncomfortable, scary, or emotional experience. They told me my brain was wired wrong, that it was all just normal stuff for everyone. I moved out a year and a half ago, and I've just recently realized that what I grew up in for 25 years was not only cruel, but I've also just realized the actual scope of the cruelty. I just read one self-help book for survivors of narcissistic cruelty, and my experiences checked every box. And now they want to do family therapy, centered around my father, rather than getting a therapist specialized in family cruelty or LGBT so we could feel safe and understood. They specifically scheduled us with one who specializes in first responders. You can probably guess his line of work. Anyway, I see this therapist one-on-one tomorrow. Story 27. I'm so terrified, all of the time, being transgender in America. A government that doesn't see me as human, spouting rhetoric that me and people like me don't deserve rights or decency. I changed my passport earlier this year back to my legal gender. I took my pronouns out of everything and deleted a bunch of social media. I used to organize protests at the beginning of all this, and now I feel burnt out on even going to protests because I don't think there's a point. I'm scared there's not a future where transgender people are accepted anymore. I thought about applying for jobs in other countries, but I just can't. While I, personally, am in a very lucky position, I'm still hopeless and scared. The idea to end it all comes in waves. A guy told Texas officials trans people should be allowed in the military because their depression rate is so high we could use them as bombers. Another guy with a platform, no political power but still, said that doctors need to violate HIPAA so we can single out any transgender or questioning individual to figure out what's wrong with them. These people, thank God, don't have any political power, but we have gone to a point where transphobic rhetoric is accepted and comfortable. It isn't a deal breaker for people. Some days I don't even want to leave my room. Some days I leave work early so I can go home and not have to do anything. I think it's affecting my sleep. I can sleep upwards of 12 hours and still feel exhausted. I can tell it's starting to affect my self-esteem. Story 28. I am about to file for divorce. My wife and I have 2 kids and have been together for 12 years and married for almost 6. Everyone thinks we're the perfect couple and have no issues. Multiple friends tell us they use our relationship to better their own. Truth is, I've been unhappy for 10 of these years and slowly realized that I was miserable every day because we were always living my wife's life, not our life. We tried therapy, but she didn't change any of the things that were brought up. Well, I did. I gave up a full ride from a master's so we could move for her, missed out on golden opportunities, lost time with my son from a previous relationship, and a long list of other things. I'm also always put last. Our family, job, friends, and hobbies are always first. I worked 2 full-time jobs for 6 years so we could pay for the things she was doing, and I missed out on the first 2 years of my daughter's life because of it. What finally ended my interest was wanting to move to another state, and she began doing all types of things to slowly prevent it. She took a promotion and went back to school for a second master's, made excuses about family, etc. I wanted no more kids after my son, and after 2 years of discussing it, I finally said if she promised we would move, I would have more kids. I know. Now that it's time to look for houses and jobs, I'm not sold on moving. I don't want to move. I love my job. I'll miss my family. I can't take the kids away from grandparents or family. I can't leave my team. So I'm done. I'm waiting till January and I'm filing for divorce. I've already talked with a lawyer 3 times. Story 29. It's pathetic, but I want a man who doesn't want me. It's the story of my life, and I don't know if it's because it's safer to want someone unavailable or if it's because I genuinely like him, or most likely a combination of the two. It doesn't help that I have this gut feeling that he's going to reach back out to me in a couple of months. Nearly every man I've dated is because I'm actually a good catch, but they think they don't like me when the manic pixie dream girl fantasy shatters. I've rejected every man who's dumped me and begged for me back because I have some dignity. I don't think I want to reject this man if he asks me back, though, and I hate myself for that because it's pathetic of me. I don't know. I just want a man to want me without putting me on a pedestal, because when I'm a real person, which I never even hide from anyone, they get disgusted with me. Story 30. I recently lost my decent job of 4 years because I had to move in with my disabled mother in another town. I hate the town, and everyone I've talked to here so far has been just mean. I was supposed to transfer, but the store that showed promise of transferring blew me off completely. I tried the other store, but no one was there when I would go in person, or they never answered my calls. For weeks, I got so depressed that I just stopped trying. My original location gave me tons of time before they quietly terminated me, but I just cried and drank all day for a whole month. Most of my thoughts were plagued with ending it all. My mother took what money I had and took a $1,000 loan out in my name. I have 2 payments left on my car, and I'm going to lose it if I can't find any work. The only thing I feel that's keeping me here is my senior dog. She's recently become disabled, and I feel she'd be happier somewhere else. My family back home thinks I'm working and got a decent raise. I tell them I'm having fun here when all I want to do is disappear. Story 31. Both of my parents passed away suddenly 19 months ago, less than 2 weeks apart, and then I had a big surgery that left me unable to do anything for myself for months. I'm still recovering from that. I feel like I didn't get to process or heal properly. It's been so many months and I still get sad every day and feel so much guilt. I'm an adult, but they were too young, and I still feel like a child left behind. I lost a sibling as well a couple of years ago, and she was my very best friend for my whole life. I have family and friends who love me and who I love and appreciate so much. I go to therapy and do things to help, but the grief makes me feel so alone. I used to call my dad every day, and I can't bear to take him off my favorites. People all say your parents wouldn't want you to feel guilty, and I know that. I know they would forgive me and want me to be happy, but that doesn't mean I didn't use my time selfishly instead of spending it with them or arguing with them just because I don't have patience, or a million other things that play over and over in my head whenever I have a moment to think. And my biggest fear is that there's nothing after this. My mom's last emotion and memory was fear and pain and loneliness, and that's it. That's all. Life and I treated her like crap, and now she's just gone, and that was all. My dad suffered, was alone except when I was there a couple of times a week, did everything he could to get healthy and just kept getting worse. And then he passed away, and there's nothing. All of that work and pain and suffering for nothing tears me apart. Story 32. I don't want to be here any longer. I've suffered from debilitating OCD my whole life. I was misdiagnosed with a personality disorder at first as well, which led to a worsening of my OCD because one of my main obsessions is being convinced I'm a horrible, irredeemable, evil person. That diagnosis worsened it because of the stigma. It was like that obsession was confirmed, which made it so much worse for me. I was only properly diagnosed with OCD within the past year, and I don't want to be here any longer. I can't handle living like this. Constant intrusive thoughts and the constant compulsions take up my whole day. I can't keep any sort of friendship because of reassurance-seeking compulsions, and I don't feel like there's much hope for me. I watched my mother turn more and more into a husk as I grew up due to suffering from the same disorder, and every day I contemplate just ending things before it gets that bad. I feel so alone. Like there's no one on this planet who would be able to tolerate me. I don't want to hurt anyone by accident, and I can't live like this. I'm unable to do any of my hobbies anymore. Gardening, writing, reading, drawing, singing because of my OCD. The only relationship I have in my life is my father, who lives across the country, and whenever he asks, I just say I'm doing better. The reality is I'm just progressively getting worse, and I don't want to be here anymore. Story 33. I am slowly becoming more certain that I will take my life. I hold it together every day. I have beautiful boys at home. I love them all. I have a wife who just isn't emotionally supportive. It's nothing big, just all the little nitpicky things. I have a good math game on it, but I feel like I no longer have any self-worth. I just keep on going. I have no hobbies. I have no real interests. I just exist. I keep telling myself, yes, I can, whenever self-doubt keeps telling me that I can't. I also keep reminding myself that I have so far survived 100% of all my bad days. It's been 10 years now. It's gotten worse. It's gotten better, but there is a downward trend. I just hope that something else happens to me before I get to the point that I agree that, no, I really can't. But yes, I can. Story 34. I'm not someone who wants to end it all, but every day I almost fantasize about it. I'm at the age, 32, that everyone is starting to go off and have their own family, and I plan to remain childless. I barely see the folks who have kids because they have their new parent friends. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy for them and want them to embrace all the parts of parenthood. Feels like the beginning of the end. I've had a couple of close friends have kids now, and it's just so different. I get it, but I'm just genuinely sad and mourning these relationships. I've been fighting to be alive since I was 5 years old. I tried again in college. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 a few years ago, and it made things make sense, but I still have ideations every damn day. They aren't bad thoughts of planning or anything, it's just always at the back of my mind. I never planned to be here this long, so I don't have any grandiose plans. I don't want to live a long life. What's wrong with that? I don't know. Trying to put this into words is hard, and I'm not sure the right message is even coming across. Story 35. I put on a brave face, but I'm incredibly lonely. Everyone knows about the divorce, and on the surface, I moved back to my home state closer to my friend network. But with the kids, it takes weeks of planning to visit anyone, and when none of your friends have kids, they have that spontaneous schedule where they just do what they want, when they want, so it becomes difficult to find people to hang with. On the flip side, on the rare occasions where I'm blessed with time off and no kids as a surprise, everyone is usually busy, so most of the time I don't see people. And texting people is hit or miss. You're all grown, we all have crap to do now. Just don't hear from people as often as I used to. I'm introverted and pretty chill most of the time, so it's hard to tell, but I feel so damn alone all the time. I know part of it is the emptiness left over after the separation, but still, freaking sucks. Story 36. My partner's mental health destroyed our lives. It ruined our relationship, isolated us from friends and family, and took our careers and aspirations. I lost my best friend and all our plans for the future. I did everything I could. I was taking care of both of us, our pets, our home, our finances, cooking, cleaning, arranging appointments, going to therapy. I did everything I could. I watched the person I love fade away and be replaced with a stranger. When they were first diagnosed, I promised to stand by because we were a team, and I kept that promise even when it meant I became a victim of emotional cruelty, all because he was still trying to get better. But then, out of the blue, he sat me down and told me he was severely mistreating me because his brain decided I was the enemy. He said he didn't love me and couldn't live with that anymore, and he left me. Now I'm all alone, thousands of miles from anyone I know, truly heartbroken and trying to figure out how to rebuild my life. Story 37. I seemingly have a pretty normal life, a successful life, even. I have a good career, genuine friendships, no debt, cool hobbies, physical health, low drama in my relationships, plenty of people who want to date, etc. There really aren't any external circumstances I can even complain much about because everything is going so well. But damn, I'm a mess in my own head. I go through cycles of severe depression, severe anxiety, hypomanias, social anxiety, and crippling nihilism. I constantly have feelings of not fitting into this world, feeling like I'll never be good enough to be truly loved. When friends tell me how much they love me or how much I mean to them, I feel like a fraud. Like they just haven't spent enough time around me to be sick of me yet. I loathe the way the world works. How cruel and selfish people have so much power to inflict so much pain. How people are so quick to judge others without any attempt at empathy. How society worships the most shallow and superficial aspects of humanity. How we all have to grind away at stressful jobs so that the ultra-wealthy can be even wealthier. Even as a full-grown man, I've just never really learned how to cope with the world or myself. Well, if you like these stories, here's more. YouTube thinks you're going to love this. Catch you in that video.